The Starr and D'Amico Show brought to you by cheapesttshirts.ca. Need blanks for your next event or club? Check out cheapesttshirts.ca. No minimum order, free shipping over $350. Same day shipping on lots of items. Affordable, Canadian, ready to print your design. Brought to you by Catherine Prince at Remax Platine, your Montreal real estate connection. Call her at 514-702-2474 or email Catherine with a K, Catherine at catherineprince.com. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest with confidence, Catherine Prince, your key to the city's property market. Brought to you by McLean's Pub. Looking for a lively downtown spot with great food and atmosphere? Come to McLean's Pub on Peel Street. Classic pub eats, plenty of beer, and all the sports on all the screens. Grab your friends and make McLean's your go-to place tonight. Brought to you by Cabletel, your full-service telecom partner for business and home. From structured cabling and phone systems to Wi-Fi, cameras, and alarms, Cabletel keeps you connected, secure, and performing at your best. Your partner for the future. It's Cabletel. Happy Saturday, everybody, and welcome to the rare Saturday morning live presentation of the Starr and D'Amico Show. Look at Marco's. Marco, lift up that hoodie for a second. Flex that hoodie, Playboy. Look at that. Love that.
Comfy. Very comfy.
No kidding. Welcome to Saturday, everybody. Welcome to another game day as the Montreal Canadiens played one of their more dominant performances. This team is starting to become a little bit of a wagon on the road. Their 7th road win of the season in a dominant 4-1 win at Vegas. Good morning, everybody. Pleasure to see so many people up with us nice and early. Thanks, as always, to our sponsors. Shout out to Chuck and Evie and the wonderful staff at Little Bear. Here we are on November 29th. The Black Friday month of November is winding down. So now is a chance to take advantage of incredible savings for all of your pets' needs from the best brands from around the world at Little Bear. Shopping in person on St. Catherine across from Westmount Square. Online, as always, with delivery at littlebearonline.com. Marco D'Amico, good morning, sir. Oh, Marco, your mic again. Marco, your mic again.
Again?
There you go.
Sorry, guys. My mic decides to mute me. I think it's a sign.
Yeah.
But I think after what we saw yesterday, it's going to be it was really fun to be able to, first of all, see Samuel Montembeault get back to winning ways and looking more confident and more structured as the game went on. I think that was the biggest thing for me, was the goaltending question. Did the Canadiens make a mistake in not putting Dobesh in? I think it was mission accomplished for what the Canadiens were hoping in terms of trying to get Samuel Montembeault going. I think he was tracking pucks much better. He definitely kept the Canadiens in the game in that first period. That there was a period of, I'd say, about 10 minutes in the first period where the game could have gotten away from the Canadiens pretty quick, and he, closed the door, and then the Canadiens got that pending penalty call and took advantage of a 6-on-5 and basically didn't look back after that. So I think Samuel Montembeault did fantastic for the Canadiens and locked it down. That I'm sure he might want to get that one goal back, but we're talking about one goal on 31 shots. I think that's a great overall game for him. And now the Canadiens have the opportunity to go for 3 for 3 on the road against a team like the Colorado Avalanche. So big test for Jakub Dobesh, and I'm sure he's relishing in the possibility of being able to test himself against the best.
Well, I want to get into Marco's conversation on rg.org in the aftermath of Mike Matheson taking an unbelievable deal to stay with the Montreal Canadiens. As we had that breaking news for you yesterday on the channel, you can head over to our homepage there, and you can watch that video and maybe pick up some more tidbits there. It's Colorado this afternoon. The Avalanche lost a hockey game to the Minnesota Wild in a shootout yesterday. So we'll see what the carryover is going to be like. The Canadiens' confidence is soaring. And we'll see against this wagon that is the Colorado Avalanche. And as always, please hit that like and subscribe button. Marco and I bring you daily Montreal Canadiens coverage on a great day for Montreal Canadiens, the organization and their fans. But, you drop Sam Montembeault's name there, and to me, that's the story of the hockey game. We'll get into the dynamic players. You talk about the 6-on-5. How great did Juraj Slafkovsky look there? Umpteen chances for Cole Caufield. Nick Suzuki looks healthier. He's on pace for another outstanding year production-wise. But let's break down Sam Montembeault for a moment. There was a great replay on the telecast, almost a bird's eye view of how crisp Montembeault and his movements looked. And man, oh man, not only did the team need that, more importantly, I think Marco needed that for his own sanity, for his own inner belief. To me, that was the story of the game. The outstanding performance by Sam Montembeault, you know?
Yeah, and I think it was a long time coming. It's something that, he really has been working hard on in practice to try and get to that level or get back to that level. I think he played like the Sam Montembeault of old, against Vegas. And I appreciate the calm that he brought the team, right? Because the team did look a little nervous to start the game. And then once they found their footing, I found they didn't take their foot off the gas until like the very end when they were defending a lead. But now it's 2 games in a row where the Canadiens defend a lead with success on the road. So I give them credit, but I would also say that their goaltending had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
I think because I'm not a goalie coach, but I some of the things I noticed, he wasn't getting lost in the puck tracking. He wasn't overcommitting in his push-offs, his movements. And I think the biggest difference to me, he looked engaged on the play. He looked very engaged in the sense that he never gave up on a play. He never looked out of sorts on a play. He didn't give off the aura of nervousness. So I think that when you dial in, and that's the thing with Montembeault, is the more pucks he sees, the better he tends to get in that game. So he got peppered early on, found his groove, locked it down, and he played with confidence for the rest of the game. And now, as the Canadiens get set for a back-to-back situation today, but another 2 back-to-back situations next week, having a Montembeault coming off a win like that is a very good thing for the Montreal Canadiens, because they have Ottawa and Winnipeg, and then Toronto and St. Louis this week in a back-to-back situation.
Sam Montembeault wasn't the only substitution from a winning performance in Utah to start this 3-game road trip. Arbor Jacki didn't slot in Wednesday night. He did on Friday afternoon. Jared Davidson slotted out. Adam Engstrom slotted out. And Alexandre Texier slotted in to make his Montreal Canadiens debut. Picked up an assist in his first game as a Hab. He was part of that group, was he not, on the only goal where all 5 Canadian skaters were on one side of the ice and there was Vegas all alone? But overall, Alexandre Texier, to me, assimilated himself pretty quickly into the Martin St. Louis system. Nothing negative as far as I could tell in his Habs debut. Your impressions on the Habs newcomer?
I would say that there is definitely some moments of nervousness at the beginning. I think a pretty suspect turnover on one of his first couple of shifts, but then he went back to the bench. Marty, sat him down, talked a little bit, and then he was out for the next shift, shortly after that. And I think he didn't look bad.
Yeah.
That it's very difficult to look good right out of the gate when you're playing on an energy line. And you're not used to the systems, you're not used to the strategy. But I think he was more than fine in terms of being able to move the puck up the ice. I thought his pass to Jake Evans was fantastic. Could have had a couple of other opportunities to thread the needle with Evans and Josh Anderson. So I like the vision that he brings in a bottom 6 situation. It's more than what the Canadiens have had in the past. So the talent is there, the speed's there. I like the hands. But to me, it's exactly as advertised. Just a good depth, speedy in terms of execution as well, in terms of foot speed as well. Just speedy forward that is able to just get pucks up the ice and kind of contribute a little bit more skill to that line, the Evans and Josh Anderson duo.
Let's bring in a member of the show. Great to see so many members with us nice and early this morning. $2.99 a month, cancel anytime. Sweet Swing. Morning. Any concern with the low shots on goal? 19 last night. The Canadiens took advantage, obviously. I mean, they were not opportunistic. They earned their goals yesterday, including Cole Caufield. And I swear to you, man, before we get to Sweet Swing's answer, the answer to his question, when he scored over the shoulder of Schmidt, I swear to you, the first thing I thought of is, you watching that, Bill Guerin? Are you watching that? Like in a tight contested game, A guy that is confident to shoot and score from any angle. Like, seriously. Like, listen, as a Team Canada supporter, as a proud Canadian who wants my men's hockey team and women's hockey team to win gold in Italy this winter, I mean, seriously, you're watching that. You're like, there's no room for Cole Caufield on your team when you need a goal to medal, to win a must-win game. Seriously, that honestly, Marco, that was the first thing I thought of when he scored his 14th of the year.
Yeah, but he can't check apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
But no, I think Caufield on the first shot of the game rang it off the post, and I think this is where I wanted to bring it. As we talk about the shot totals. I find the Canadians miss a lot of their shots. Like in terms of the ratio of shot attempts versus shots on goal, the Canadians are lowest in the NHL, 32nd. Just because either they're trying to pick corners and the shot misses wide, shots are getting blocked. It's just, I'm not necessarily concerned about it because the shot placement, the amount of high danger chances is there. So to me, getting 4 or 5 extra flutter shots from the point just so you could pad the stats, that's fine. It's all about, I'll take a Bolduc shot where he was over 5 shots from the point any day, right? That was a clear high danger chance and he converted on it, and kudos to him. He's been playing fantastic as of late. He's just, Bolduc's got to bring that energy home when he plays at home because he looks like a road warrior for the Canadians right now. So back to the Cole Caufield question. He's on my US team if I'm the one building it. He's on that team all day, every day. I don't think that, you can make a solid case. You can make a case for a bunch of other players as well, but I think that Cole Caufield's shooting ability, when you want that one goal, especially in an overtime environment, you think back at how the U.S. team lost to Canada at the Four Nations. They were missing that one goal.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on that kind of depth, being able to play it on a third line. And you look at a guy like Cole Caufield, he could play on a third line. I have no problem with him. His defensive game has taken 2 steps up in terms of how he implicates himself physically, how he positions his stick, his forechecking, the active stick for stick lifts. I find him very, very active in the middle of the ice. So I don't think it's as simple as can he check. I really don't think that's the case. If that's how you build a hockey team, I understand where you're going with this, but it's a tight 10 game tournament at the most. You're gonna have to move quick. Well, math says 6 game tournament. So you're gonna have to move quick. I don't think that this is the kind of tournament where you're gonna wear guys down physically with heavy checking. That's a playoff series. You want to build for that. That's your prerogative. But I think that the Team Canada's chances of winning gold become much higher if Cole Caufield, or become higher, not much higher, but become higher if Cole Caufield is not playing for the American.
Hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for being with us on this Saturday morning on a game day. It's Montreal at Colorado at 3:00 this afternoon. Colorado coming off a shootout loss to the Minnesota Wild yesterday. Here's a question from Joe. Can we talk about Demidov's ice time? Is this the best way to develop the team's franchise player? Joe's words, not mine. Only Florian Jacki got less total ice time in that hockey game, and a dominant performance, a game where the Canadians flex with their dynamic play, their speed, creating several odd man rushes, and just were, again, a very, very impressive road performance. But I'm not so sure I get the strategy behind it. The team is winning. The team is winning on the road. It's their second 3-game winning streak of the year, looking to push it to 4. And it's an uphill push in Colorado today. We'll dive into the Avalanche coming up a little bit later on this live stream, Marco. But what's your take on the utilization of Demidov from Martin St. Louis? What are you seeing?
Well, they're on the road first and foremost, so they don't have the last change. They were the weakest line I found last night at 5-on-5. They were getting picked a little bit in the defensive zone, having a little bit of trouble getting pucks out, etc. So I understand Martin St. Louis when you're trying to defend a lead, maybe skipping that. the other thing I was just looking at was he had 12 minutes, just under 12 minutes of ice time at 5-on-5.
Right.
So that's actually up from his usual amount. It's usually somewhere around like 10 minutes. So he's actually playing 2 minutes more. The issue is that the Canadiens didn't like the Vegas only took 2 penalties last night.
Yeah.
So in that situation, and one of them was offsetting minors, right? Like Keegan
And one was a
Colasar and
puck over the
Arbogast.
glass, no? One was a delay of game, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So, and that was in between 2 periods, right? So you really only got 1 power play opportunity, right? So usually if you have like 1, 2, if you have 2 or 3 penalties, you know that he's going to be able to get a 45-second to a minute on average per power play. That's usually where he's able to go from 12 minutes to 15 minutes. I don't think anybody's complaining if Ivan Demidov is playing 15 minutes, but if he's playing, I'm just double checking now, but I think he played, 12:07. So even on the power play, it was very quick, and then he was off because he's playing on the second wave right now. So that's where you have to weigh and you have to look at it and you have to say, within that context, I get it. Now, is this the proper way to develop a franchise player? Who is the best player on the Montreal Canadiens right now?
That's Nick Suzuki.
Where did Nick Suzuki start?
Yeah, not where he's at.
That's it. He started on the 4th line with second power play minutes, and he worked his way up. Lane Hudson last year.
Yeah.
How long did it take him before they put him on the first power play wave?
Hey, fans were crying for him to replace Mike Matheson very early on.
Yeah, and look at now. Lane Hudson's playing less than Mike Matheson, playing less than Noah Dobson.
Yeah.
I see very little complaints in that regard because he's found his chair. He's producing offensively. I think Ivan Demidov's ice time would be 15 minutes a game regularly if the Canadiens had a legitimate second line center that Martin St. Louis would trust to put Demidov with, to cover for Demidov. Like they say that Kapanen does that and he covers for Demidov and that's why he trusts him and this and that. But when you see the ice time at the end of the game, Kapanen is generally the center that's played the least at 5-on-5. And again, last night on the road, you see that Joe Veleno had a 12:01 ice time on the road as a center. Kapanen had a 12:40. So you're starting to see a shift where Kapanen's starting to get more minutes, but it's not following with Demidov necessarily on a regular basis. Last night was consistent, but last night you also had a 4 and to the end of the game, a 3-goal lead to sit on. So you were able to kind of manage expectations a little bit more than the game in Utah, where the Canadiens came back in the 3rd period. So it's all situational, but I understand him. If you're not putting him in an offensive situation and you're on the road and you're defending a lead, I get it. I get it because you also don't want to lose the lead and then it comes back on the player and he thinks it's his fault. So I get it. But when the Canadiens are back at home, that's where, and I've talked about this before, that's where I'm a little bit more critical when it comes to ice time.
Agreed. Florian Xhekaj, as we mentioned there in passing, I think another solid game for me. He does the small things that I believe will add up to big things in the mind of his coach. He had one sequence where he was out there well-positioned defensively, put his body in front of a puck, prevented a scoring opportunity from the Vegas Golden Knights. That's what I mean about the little things. I liked his game yesterday, and I think he gets rewarded with a little bit more ice time. Let's put up this comment from Michelle here. Shaun, Marco, what do you think of other podcasters stating Zachary Bolduc doesn't belong on the top 6, let alone on the top line? Michelle looking for a take on this. And, it's funny. I saw Mark Dumont wrote about and did a kind of a statistical breakdown of the top line on the Canadiens before Bolduc and then with Bolduc. And basically said the line with Bolduc, to be kind, wasn't producing nearly at the level it was when Slav was up there, right? And, my instant thought on that, I guess to get to Michelle's question, and obviously Marco's going to weigh in, but the sample size is too little. And I think it's not so much, maybe I'm wrong here, but like it's not always about X's and O's. It's about trying to grow a guy and trying to see kind of where he fits in. And he's playing Bolduc with two exceptionally talented, high-end hockey IQ players that if he can't click with those two guys, then it's more of a legitimate case, Marco, in my mind. Okay, Zach Bolduc will be a third-line winger, and maybe he'll grow from there. But in the here and now, I want that sample size to grow, and the points in 2 games are starting to come, and I see a better version of Zachary Bolduc. So I'm not on the bandwagon to sit here and tell you and speak with my chest that Zach Bolduc isn't a top 6. I think I see potential that he can grow into that guy. So what about Zachary Bolduc's role, how he looks analytically, eye test with Caufield and Suzuki?
Yeah, well, I'm going to start off by saying that it's a very good problem to have. That you're arguing which of the wingers is going to be a top 6 winger and which might not be. And, you know, I believe that that was a conversation between Tony Marinaro, Brian Wilde, and Mark Dumont that they're referring to. And it was a good conversation. I'll give it to them. You know, and I liked Mark's analysis. I think that, you know, yes, the chances for when Bolduc was on the top line are inferior to the chances for in terms of how good the Canadiens' top line is a 5-on-5. Of course, it took a dip because you just took a guy off that line that's basically been playing with these two players for the better part of the last 2 years. The chemistry is already there. They function no problem. And even when they were, you saw last night, they put Slafkovsky back on the first line for certain shifts because they know that combination could also be used in a shutdown capacity as well as being their top scoring line, which is a unique, very unique deployment strategy from Martin St. Louis. Not many people use their first lines as a shutdown line. So clearly the defensive side of the game, 100% agree. But if you look last night, the three best forwards in terms of chances for Nick Suzuki at a 60% ratio, Cole Caufield at a 55% ratio, and Zachary Bolduc is the next forward on the list. Everybody else was below him, and the only forward that was on Bolduc's level at 5-on-5 outside of his 2 line mates was Ivan Demidov. So I don't necessarily see the issue. That line combined for a 60% chance share against Vegas. And this, mind you, whilst the shot share difference was massive. Like I think it was chances for 62 chances for the Golden Knights, 36 for the Canadiens, but it was a 60% shot share for the top line. What does that mean? That means that the top line was by far the best line for the Montreal Canadiens by a country mile. So I'm okay with having him there. Now, the real question, I think, Shaun, this is really good, and I'll ask you, does Zachary Bolduc to you have top 6 potential? And if so, is he a player that you would be putting on your top 6 now?
I think the answer to that, to use a word, is yes. I see top 6 potential.
To use a word.
Yeah, one word. Like let's move quickly here. You know what I like Slafkovsky to me, like Bolduc, is still an experiment, right? And by that I mean, can you get him away from those 2 guys? And can he be, as John says, Slav was a beast. Yes, he was a beast, but against Utah
individually,
right? Was he a beast? Can he drive a line? And that's when I talk about, or be someone that can be dominant on a line, maybe not so much drive it, but be a dominant player on a line. He was yesterday. Nice to see him get rewarded with a goal right through the wickets of Mitchell Marner as he played the role of goaltender there in that empty net. But you know, it's the teeter-totter of Juraj Slafkovsky. So I don't have a problem in the here and now. And I like what Marco said about these are good problems to have. The Canadiens are winning. They're moving some pieces around on the chessboard. To take it to your question, I see a player in Zachary Bolduc that can be a good addition on the wing on the second line. I don't think he's a top line player. I don't think he can, I don't think he's as good as Juraj Slafkovsky. I think Slafkovsky to me looks more like a top line player than Zachary Bolduc, but you're trying to build depth. You're trying to build wave after wave. Like Martin St. Louis, Marco talks about stacking shifts. You're trying to stack assignments that when the first line gets off, oh my God, now it's whoever the center is on the second line with Zachary Bolduc, with Demidov. Oh my God, this team is relentless. I think that's what they're trying to get at.
Well, also, and I think this is one of the more important things. This is the first time since the start of the Canadiens rebuild where you can say, or you can point towards the goal of them trying to develop consistent secondary scoring.
Yeah.
So by taking Slafkovsky off the top line and putting Bolduc there, you're doing two things at once. A, you're trying to get Bolduc going. And B, you're hoping that Slafkovsky will be able to be that element on that new make kid line to get them going, cover for them defensively, because Slafkovsky's defensive metrics this season have been off the charts. And then kind of help drive and make space for them. And that's exactly what Slafkovsky has done so far. You want to see with more regularity, but there are easy identifiable shifts where he just takes over. And then when you need an extra winger or an extra forward at 6-on-5, jumps over the boards and makes a beautiful pass to Zachary Bolduc. Is a guy that they had defending the lead, with the net empty. So I like what's happening here. And I like that he's becoming more of this complete forward as well as being able to impact the stat sheet. I do. Zachary Bolduc, to me, is a top 6 player all day, every day. The only way that he's on a third line in his prime, to me, is if you have an even better winger ahead of him. And the Canadiens could, right?
Yeah.
Who knows how good Alexander Zhuravsky will become? Who knows how good Michael Hage will become? Will he be center? Will he be the winger? How is that going to work out? So as the Canadiens continue to funnel in some of their top 6 prospects, that'll also change the dynamic. And then you'll get to the vision that the Montreal Canadiens have had for a while now, which is having 3 scoring lines, not as similar, or pretty similar, in fact, to the way the Florida Panthers run things when they're all healthy, is they have 3 full scoring lines. So is he a top 6 player? I think he is. Is it a problem if he plays on your third line? I don't think so, because that would mean that you have exceptional depth on the wing.
There's that good problem again, Marco. In that world where he's playing on the third line, there's that good problem. Here's a question from listener with a little koala bear as his display picture.
Koalas.
Question: what are you guys thinking about the plans to include Sammy Blais in this lineup? Who's getting benched? Also, who's getting benched when Kirby Dach's back? As maybe, obviously NSL here didn't miss it, but the Canadiens reacquired Samuel Blais when he was put on waivers by the Maple Leafs, but reassigned to Laval, and the Laval Rocket are back in game day action today.
Yes. Yeah. So from what I was told, they didn't want to, have to bring him all the way out west for 2 quick back-to-back games and then have to come back home. Like, it would have just been messy. So they just left him in Laval. They have the ability to call him up at will. They could even call him up and then send him back down without needing to go through waivers, because once you've cleared waivers, or once you're the team that's reacquired the player that you put on waivers, you have he could play up to 10 games or be on the roster for up to 30 days cumulatively from the moment he's been waived before you have to put him on waivers again. So that means the Canadiens can call him up whenever they want. They can call him up, for example, if they feel like they need a little bit of muscle or a little bit more oomph against a team like the Winnipeg Jets in a back-to-back situation. Well, you can call on Laval immediately, because the Canadiens are only carrying 22 men out of 23 right now. So there is a level of flexibility there. And in terms of Kirby Dach's return, well, Kirby Dach's not returning until after the holidays. So I don't think that's. I think it's too early to find out. Like, knock on wood, there could be injuries. There could be a player that truly dips in play. But I think, it's difficult to say, because I think Veleno's importance in the face-off circle can't be understated.
Is that left shot? Is that left side? Is it that left side draw again?
It's the left side draw. It's the fact that he's a lefty in general. He's been, I think, improving his defensive impact, although I didn't like his game against the Utah Mammoth. I thought he was better. I thought he was better against Vegas. But, if you have to pull a guy out of the lineup, I think that the Canadiens are going to go with one of the younger guys. And that's not going to be a very popular take here. But that's the way that they would work. They'd probably send down Florian to insert a guy like Kirby Dach. That's why I say It's too early. Let's see what it looks like once we get to the point where he's starting to skate again and is getting ready to come back into the lineup, because the things can change. Some players could be having a tough time. Some younger players may need some more seasoning in the American Hockey League. We'll have to see, but it's too soon.
We're 30 minutes into our live show on this Saturday morning. Thanks to everybody for being here. Make sure to hit that like. And if you're not a subscriber already, I might encourage you to join the family. The road to 20,000 subs begins with each and every single one of you. And, if you're looking to kill some time today, the Montreal Canadiens are back in action at 3 o'clock. Why not head over to McLean's on Peel Street in downtown Montreal? It's the home of Starr and D'Amico. Our next live show is less than a month away. We'll be there on December 23rd to watch that. Oh, boy.
Sorry, I saw a comment that said that Joe Veleno is a sausage. I can't.
He's a sausage. American leaguer at best, as Stefan Cardinal, Stephen Cardinal. But yeah, head over to McLean's to watch the game this afternoon. Should be a good one. And of course, if you're looking for a delicious meal, friends to the show that have been supplying our listeners with gift cards all year long. Big shout out to Morella's Steakhouse in Ganawage, Highway 132. It's right over the Mercier Bridge. MorellaSteakhouse.ca. Book your reservation, book your table now. Premium steaks, premium wines, and unbelievable pasta dishes and great seafood as well. Trust me when I tell you, you want to go to Morella's. You had a chance to catch up with Mike Matheson's agent, the latest over at rg.org. Obviously, you and I covered this extensively on the channel in our in our live show. Yikes. Yikes. But let's get into some more details. What did we learn beyond the fact that a couple of things we learned right away? That it was a great deal for the Canadiens and for the player, that Mike Matheson prioritized term over take-home pay. What else did we what else did you unearth from your conversation yesterday?
Yeah, well, basically the two sides have been in discussion since the summer. I know that there was a lot of curiosity as to why he met with the Canadiens in Buffalo around the combine. I was told that wasn't actually to talk contract; it was only to do their end of season meeting. So they didn't really push it there. But as of July 1st, they decided to have a conversation, just like the Canadiens had a conversation with Lane Hutson's camp. They paused the negotiations at the height of Lane Hutson's signing because they focused all their energy on getting that done. And then they picked things back up after Hudson was signed, and they moved forward with their negotiation. But it was a smooth negotiation. Both sides wanted something done. Mike Matheson did not want to go anywhere. I spoke to another league executive that said that had he gotten to the free agent period, July 1st, 2026, with how thin the market is shaping up to be, and it could get even thinner as teams continue to sign their pending free agents. They said that it could have been very likely that Matheson could have hit, the jackpot and signed somewhere in the $8 million, this summer, but he decided to take 6 to stay in Montreal. And, we learned a little bit on how did they get to 6? On one end, it's Mike Matheson taking a hometown discount, quite literally a hometown discount to stay in Montreal. But it's also the way they structured the contract. So if you look, 50% of the contract is dished out in the first 2 years. It's a $30 million contract, $15 million in the first 2 years, $20 million of the total $30 million in signing bonuses. And the Canadiens are also using RCA, the retirement compensation agreement, in that. So what does that do? Being paid in signing bonuses, because he is naturalized as an American as well as being a Canadian. The taxes are less on the signing bonus. So he has more take-home money than if he were to sign this exact contract, say in, Minnesota, Chicago, New Jersey. He actually has more take-home money because of that. And the RCA agreement allows him to defer 50% of his money so that he's taxed less at the moment of his retirement. And that makes sense because he's going to be 37. He may very well retire at the end of that contract. Like he could continue, maybe a 1-year deal, subsequently as he sees if his body can keep up. So again, what did we learn? We learned that Mike Matheson wanted to take a deal to stay in Montreal. He wanted his camp wanted 6 years. The Canadiens wanted 3 or 4 years. They found a nice middle at 5 years. But when it comes to the AAV, that's where the magic was made. I've been told by more than one agent that Kent Hughes is everyone's favorite agent, general manager, and accountant. And he went to work on this contract as well. So a good deal signed by both parties. I think everybody's happy. But the one thing that has come out to me when I was talking, when I was doing research about this, information was brought to me early yesterday morning that this was going to be get signed after, being told that nothing was close about a week ago. The one thing we learned is that the Montreal Canadiens culture in the room is a very quantifiable asset for the Montreal Canadiens when they're negotiating with these guys. It is now the sixth contract that you can say that the Canadiens have signed where the player left money on the table.
It's the most unique circumstance. And I've heard this, I've been around the team for a long time. Marco, you've been around the team for a long time,
for a minute.
Talking a lot about the Montreal Canadiens over the course of my career. I've heard a lot of cliche talk about character and these guys are going to be magnets. They're going to pull in and attract players and all of this stuff. This is the first time I legitimately see this. I have never seen the credible version of character, of camaraderie, of air quote brotherhood like it currently exists on this version of the Montreal Canadiens. It is, I find it so unique, and I think it's absolutely great. It's so great for the future of where this team can be. I strongly believe in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I just wanted to shout out Vincent Joyal, who went to Canuck to get his jacket. Guys, Canuck jackets still 40% off until December 1st. I sincerely invite you all to go and see them. Absolutely fantastic deals still ongoing. And they have a cold room for you to be able to try them on. It's actually hilarious.
It's awesome.
It's like being in a cold pod. Guys, still, I would tell you, it's on Rachel Street in the Plateau.
Yes.
Guys, go and check it out. It's 100% worth it.
And just to clarify this, we were talking about one of my favorite places to eat at Morella's on Highway 132 in Ganawage.
What a segue.
No, you don't have to live in Ganawage to avoid the taxes. You can go eat at any of the establishments in the beautiful town of Ganawage and skip on all the taxes. I play golf there all the time. I go into dépanneurs, I go into restaurants, I go for lunch. And no matter where you are, you get to save on the taxes. It's definitely a little bit of a perk.
We got a good question that just came in.
Before hold on. I mean, they're just flying in left, right, and center. Because there was another question I wanted to get to here because I was part of this think tank too, right? Here we go. This is from one of the members of the show, Reed. Picking Matheson over Caden Gooley is going to be a mistake moving forward in the playoffs. No physicality on your top four is a huge problem, right? And like I've spoken on this before on this podcast on the radio about. Yeah, I like contrast. I've always liked contrast. But Martin St. Louis told everybody before training camp, right after they got Dobson, they believe speed is the ultimate weapon for them. And it's the one defensive pairing all season that hasn't been broken up. The Dobson-Matheson pairing has stayed pretty much intact all year long. And there was part of me too, like, I've spoken with Mark about this. I'd like a younger version of David Savard. I like the kind of stay-at-home guys that could be physical, that could block shots, that can make you pay a price. But I got to tell you, I mean, so far, so good. I don't know if Reed ultimately will look good here with his point of view, thinking it's going to be a mistake. But
I don't understand what's happening.
What?
How did the Canadiens pick Matheson over Gooley? Are they not both signed for the next 5 seasons?
I mean, that aside, yeah. I mean,
or is the assumption that Gooley is the one that they're going to be trading Gooley now because they signed Matheson? Is that what's going
your
on?
top four is locked in. I can't.
But I'm asking the question. Yeah, I'm asking the question, right? Because this is what I've been told. Caden Gooley is not being shopped. Take that one to the bank.
Their top four is locked in. Yeah,
teams are calling on Caden Gooley. Teams are interested in Caden Gooley.
Yeah,
but the Montreal Canadiens aren't listening.
No,
that's what I've been told. And so this before they signed Matheson, this after they signed Matheson. One does not necessarily mean the other. It could be an Arbor Jack guy that's traded. It could be a Jaden Struble that's traded. It could be an Adam Engstrom that's traded. But I sincerely doubt that it's Caden Gooley that's on the block right now. It's an easy way to look at it because you're like, they have 3 lefties in their top 4. Sure, for now. But David Reinbacher is not ready to be a top 4, so that's not a problem. You can kick that can way down the line. You can ease him into a third pair role eventually when Carrier's contract expires. You have Adam Engstrom, you have Jaden Struble, you have Arbor Jacket. That's enough material for you to go, big game hunting to create a package. The only way, and I talked about this on the show yesterday, the only way I could ever see the Canadiens even considering moving Caden Gooley was if a cannot miss, like, top end number one center becomes available on another team that you would be able to slot in under Nick Suzuki. And we talked about this. I mean, like, like a Robert Thomas or like a Tage Thompson, like those guys, like the top end guys. That's the only time I would consider it. Like, if the Canadiens didn't want to move Caden Gooley in a Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, who they really, really liked, they're not going to do it now that they've signed Mike Matheson either. It would take a top end kind of trade for that to happen.
Here's Brad. We spoke about this yesterday on our live show. The Canadiens have a little bit of a logjam on the defensive side of things. Who's the odd man out? A guy like Gooley expendable when it comes to the Canadiens finding that long-awaited second center?
It's the easiest logical thing to do, but the Canadiens don't want to subtract from their roster in a serious way.
Yeah.
If you trade Gooley, then the issue is who replaces him in the short term, right? You're going to take a step back if you do that. But the thing with, you look at Alex Carrier, his contract is set to expire, I believe, at the end of this season or next season. Sorry. And so that gives you, a lot of flexibility to be able to figure out, see what the development looks like on a guy like Emstrom, on a guy like Reinbacher, and then make a decision. I wouldn't trade David Reinbacher right now. I think that he's starting to find his mojo. He's looking really good in Laval. His last weekend was top notch. Engstrom, I could understand, because you have a Mike Matheson, because you have a Lane Hudson, because you have a Noah Dobson. I could see the Canadiens being like, maybe too much of the same kind of style, but they also really do like that style. I think Caden Gooley brings an element that is extremely underrated, especially on the penalty kill. I think he'll take a lot of minutes off of Mike Matheson, who I think has been overused in his absence. So I think, I don't think it's necessarily like, okay, now who gets traded? It's more like when a player that the Canadiens really like becomes available, they can have the conversation and say, here are our wares. This is what we have to offer you in terms of what could potentially be available. You could choose from this, which is exactly what they did with the Noah Dobson trade. They put their 2 first-round picks on the table, and then the Islanders asked to have an NHL roster piece or a young forward that they would be able to add to their roster. The Canadiens offered guys like Owen Beck in that discussion, but the Islanders wanted a guy like Emil Heineman. Well, as much as Emil Heineman is doing great with the Islanders, playing on that top line with Bo Horvat, who has been excellent for the Islanders this season.
Yeah.
You look at the situation with the Canadiens on defense, it would probably be the same thing. Of course, every team is going to ask for Gooley, but the Canadiens are going to try to work them down to a Struble or a Jackeye or an Engstrom if it's a can't miss number 2 center trade that would put them in a contending situation.
Sidney Crosby scored 2 more frickin' goals yesterday. He's on 15 now for the Penguins, and they're not going anywhere. Brady Tkachuk came back to the Ottawa Senators. Stop with your smiling on Sidney Crosby and the Penguins. Brady Tkachuk returned to Ottawa's lineup yesterday. They did not win. Montreal back into second place now in the Atlantic Division, 1 point up on the Ottawa Senators. Habs in Colorado at 3 o'clock today. I get this also falls into the lap of what Marco was just talking about here. Member of the show, Salil, Hudson, Matheson, Dobson, Gooley, Carrier, Struble, Jackeye, Engstrom, Reinbacher, 9 defensemen for 6 spots, 2 trade chips. Fowler, Doby, Monty, 3 goalies for 2 spots. Gauge the quality of these players that if Ken Hughes needs to make a move, someone comes knocking, he comes knocking. Can you define like the quality, like the grading of these players that Salil is mentioning here as possible trade chips?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're talking about trading a Struble or a Jackeye or an Engstrom, I think those are valuable trade chips. I would be careful.
A grade, though, right? Like to Barry Trotz's one. So, like, are they A grade chips? You know what I mean? Like Reinbacher, potential for A grade.
I think Reinbacher's an A grade for sure. Okay. I mean, his top 5 pick alone, that immediately puts you in the A category. Do I think Engstrom is an A grade? I think he could be an A minus grade. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't drafted. He didn't have the hype of being a first round pick, was a third round pick, but he's playing like a first round pick, or he's got the development path of what a first round pick would generally look like on defense. So
I agree.
You got to like what you're seeing there in his draft +4 season.
Dobesh?
I don't think. Depends on what again, that's too soon because you have to evaluate how these players evolve and perform. So I don't think you can throw Dobesh in there just yet. I mean, Fowler, to me, with the way the goaltending has been as of late, I think Fowler is untouchable in this kind of a situation, unless it's like a crazy deal, like, of course.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, given the uncertainty in net, I wouldn't make Fowler available for trade. I think that Dobesh is 24 years old, soon to be 25. I don't think we can call him a prospect anymore. So I'm not gonna call him an A grade. What I would say, the Nashville Predators have used like a high draft pick this year to draft a goalie. So I don't think that they'd be looking at Dobesh per se. And then on defense, again, I've told you, Struble has had the good looks from general managers. I know that there are GMs that appreciate him. I know that there are GMs that appreciate Arbor Jacki, and I know there are GMs that appreciate Adam Engstrom over the two that I just mentioned. So that it's all in the eyes of the beholder. It's all in the eyes of the beholder. And I think that's the key here is the Canadiens have options. The Canadiens, if a deal comes up, right? And I do want to stress this. The Canadiens are calling, the Canadiens are checking to see if there's players that are available, players that may become available that they like. They're doing all that, but they're at a stage in their rebuild where they could afford to be picky. That's the key. They could afford to be picky so that they're not just going to throw assets at a guy that maybe could work, right? Same thing happened with Noah Dobson. They kept tabs on him. The moment he realized that he was available, they pounced, jumped ahead of the Columbus Blue Jackets, threw an offer in there and got the deal done. That's exactly what I think they would be doing if one of their top center targets became available down the line.
I love this comment from our friend Salil. This guy's been a fan of this team for half a century. Remembers the New Year's game against the Red Army back in 1975. I wasn't even born yet. My father was still a teenager. Most excited I've been since 1993. I get the excitement level, no doubt, on this game day. It's Montreal at Colorado at 3 o'clock. I'm not anticipating any lineup changes. I loved how this team looked. I loved how they played in Vegas yesterday. I mean, the one change, it's not going to be Montembeault. They're going to go back to Dobesh. Outside of that, I think Alex Texier gets another look. I think Florian stays in, and I think Arbor Jacki stays in. Are you anticipating something differently other than Dobesh in for Montembeault this afternoon?
I think Texier stays. I think with the way that they used Jared Davidson of late, I think he'll probably be the one being shuttled to Laval when they get back. So I think Texier stays in. Then it becomes a question of, does Engstrom draw back in, right? And against Colorado, I don't think that the Canadiens are going to try to put in and expose a rookie. But I also think they want to see what they have in him.
Interesting.
So I wouldn't expect a change, but I wouldn't be shocked if Engstrom drew in.
Do you think, when you say that, like what goes through my mind is like this road trip is now already a success. 4 points in 4 games in 2 games. Do you think when the coaches went back, cracked open a beer after the win last night, talked about the game a little bit, do you think they said, you know what? I mean, it's the NHL. It's a big boy. It's a man's league. Do you think the win changed maybe the Engstrom strategy? Because I agree that if he did slot in, I wouldn't be surprised. And part of me thinks is because they won yesterday in Vegas, whereas if they didn't win, maybe they would go different, maybe go with a different look today.
Well, I feel like that's the case with Dobesh, right? There's less pressure on him now because they've already busted the 300, the 500 mark, right? They got more than 3 points out of 6. They have 4 now. So you're comfortable. You're sitting with, even if this game is lost, you still came away with 66% of the points. So that's great. So there's no pressure here right now. They could take the game to Colorado, playing on house money. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think I think that's the key here is when you obviously you play every game, you want to win every game, but I think Martin St. Louis won his bet yesterday by putting Montembeault in and now having the hotter of the two goaltenders play against the bigger team to be able to test him and see if he could stand up and backstop the team and hold the team in the game like Montembeault did yesterday. With Engstrom, I think the Canadiens want to see what they have in him, but it's been difficult to predict how they go about using players more so this year than years past, because last year's or the years where there were no expectations for them making the playoffs, it was a little bit more predictable that they were going to play the younger guys. Now that results are expected and you're playing a team like Colorado, it's a difficult thing to predict. But I would say that I wouldn't be surprised if Engstrom got in, though I expect Arbor to be the one to hold that spot, and rightfully so. I think he played a great game last night.
Yeah. There's lots of comments. I mean, the chat's fantastic this morning. Don't forget, Marco and I will be back tomorrow morning for the usual Sunday morning extravaganza, live at 10 a.m. right here on youtube.com. That's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lots of back and forth between the viewers on the live stream today about Ryan O'Reilly. And Marco and I haven't talked about Ryan O'Reilly in the last 51 minutes on this live stream today. But the fans, nevertheless, it's a good back and forth. I've been watching it go back and forth here for most of the morning about the value and, people citing his resume, Stanley Cup champ, MVP, great in the face-off circle. I mean, he is having a pretty good season. He is pretty cheap. He is more or less, I would classify Ryan O'Reilly today as a glorified rental. You get him for the remaining, if whoever gets him, you get him for the rest of this season. You get him next year, $4.5 million on the cap. Like, the money is not up for dispute. The money's fine, right? Especially for a team like the Canadiens. The asking price, and it's a topic you and I, dove into on Friday. The asking price to me is unattainable. I wouldn't do it, right? But where do you think the Canadiens are at? If you had to guess in their level of how much Ryan O'Reilly perhaps appeals to this group, as far as you're concerned.
I know I know this group would be very happy to have a Ryan O'Reilly. That's one thing. Yeah. But I don't think this group would be happy to have a Ryan O'Reilly at the current ask that Barry Trotz has put out, which is a first and an A-level prospect. Yeah. If that were a reasonable price for a guy like Ryan O'Reilly at this stage of his career, he'd already be traded. Just to show you that even with the lack of center depth, teams aren't willing to, go crazy on this and give in and give whatever they want. And when it comes to teams looking for centers, one of them just fell out of the race in the Vancouver Canucks. They've now turned to trying to sell some of their young veterans. So I doubt that they're going to be wasting young assets to try and go and get a guy like O'Reilly, who's in the tail end of his career. But I also feel the same way about Montreal. Like, are you a 2C away from being a contender? Because I feel like the Ryan O'Reilly kind of trade, even next year. But are you there? I don't think so. Not yet. You can't. They have the pieces in place, I think, to be a contending team for the Stanley Cup. They do. But those not all of those pieces have reached maturity, right? Lane Hudson is a sophomore. Ivan Demidov is a rookie. When those guys are starting to scratch the peak of their potential, I think that's when you can say that the Canadiens will be entering their window. And so I don't know that I would give up that price point for a guy that won't be part of the core beyond a year and a half from now. Yeah. Right. Probably doesn't. And his minutes will drop as well, right? Like, he's playing top minutes. He's the first line center for the Nashville Predators. Well, what happens to his offensive ratio? He's trending for 60 points this season. What happens to his offensive ratio when he drops down 2 minutes, 3 minutes? Because he's not getting first power play wave time. Exactly. Because he's not getting first line time at 5-on-5, right? So there is that element. But there are so many other benefits. Great on the face-off circle. A guy that you can use on the PK. A guy that you could put with Ivan Demidov and be sure that Ivan Demidov's minutes would increase in consequence. He checks a lot of boxes. It's just the biometrics that I'm a little afraid of, in the fact that he is, going to be 36 at the end of this deal. Exactly. So not necessarily someone that you would foresee re-signing, and I think that would put a lot of pressure on Michael Hage to develop as a 2C, which is a little unfair to expect, a guy that's going to be 21, 22 at that point to come in and be your second line center. Yeah, it's rough. It's a rough thing to do. You don't see it very often, especially where Michael was drafted, right? So I would hope that the Canadiens have more of a longer term vision. So yes, they have interest in the player, but the Canadiens are in no rush to give Barry Trotz what he wants. And I would argue that if and when Ryan O'Reilly is traded, he'll be traded for less than what Barry Trotz is currently asking for.
Unholy Louis is bang on the money. Canadiens look real good, real good, dominant, I would say. Nice to see a solid game from Cole Caufield. Juraj Slafkovsky with 2 points. Nick Suzuki with an assist and 3 shots. Played under 20 minutes. How about that? Nick Suzuki under 20 minutes yesterday. I love that number for that guy. Another multi-point game for Zachary Bolduc. Sam Montembeault, I think, was the biggest positive to come out from that 4-1 decision at Vegas. The Golden Knights, not all that impressed, man. They've lost 4 in a row. They look sloppy defensively. The Canadian speed, I think, hurt them quite a bit throughout the course of that hockey game yesterday. Marco, in the final moments of today's show, a reminder, we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. So you get to see these perky white faces, nice and pasty, without the sunshine and the outdoor exposure. Love it. And it's still the end of November, not even to January, February yet, but I digress. What are we looking forward to today? How can the Montreal Canadiens stay competitive in Colorado this afternoon?
I think that they definitely have to play their speed game. They have to stay with their identity, quick puck transitions. And if you're going to play a team like the Colorado Avalanche, then you're going to have to be strong up the middle. You're going to have to be able to counter them as well in their transition. Make sure that you're boxing guys out with a little bit more aggressiveness. And I also find that if they're able to play their physical game, the Canadiens, they have a chance to being able to get the Avalanche off their tilt, because when you're a team that wins as often as the Avalanche have, the moment you lose a game, there's always that following game, and it just so happens to be a back-to-back for them as well. There's always the following game where it's like, are they going to come in guns a-blazing, or are you going to start worrying, being like, okay, well, are we going to start slowing down here? So I think that with the Canadiens, they have the pieces to go up against them. I think that the Avalanche are a better team at center, personally, obviously with a McKinnon there, but also a Brock Nelson. Where I think the Canadiens could beat them is on the back end.
Yeah.
And this is obviously, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail here, but I think that outside of Cale Makar, right, which is a big deal, I think the Canadiens have the better top 3 defensemen when you put them all together. I think Cale Makar makes them a cheat code by default.
All day.
Once he's not on the ice, I think that's where the Canadiens defensemen jumping into the play, overloading the defensive structure, being the 4th man on the rush, I think that's where they could take advantage. So if the Canadiens are going to have any success in being able to beat the Avalanche today, it's going to be because their defense is jumping in and playing a bigger role for them.
I can't wait for the matchup. There's so many fun matchups, I think, in this game coming up this afternoon at 3:00, as Montreal will wrap up their road trip, already a success. And then they come home, and they got a nice little stretch of home games coming up once they return from Colorado: Ottawa, Winnipeg, St. Louis, Tampa Bay. So they're going to play 4 of their next 5 at the Bell Center. But I think, when we look at the Colorado Avalanche, obviously this is a juggernaut. This is a true creme de la creme team and a legitimate Stanley Cup contending squad. But when we look at Nathan McKinnon, who averages just under 22 minutes, nice to see Nick Suzuki under 20, because he's going to get the McKinnon assignment today. And are they going to go stride for stride? Like, we're expecting a big minute-eating game from Nick Suzuki to go tete-a-tete with McKinnon today, right?
Yeah, well, I think there's going to be a little bit of Nick Suzuki, but I also think they're going to try to match up Jake Evans when possible. They don't have the last change, unfortunately. So,
right,
you're probably going to have to hope that you can match up on the fly, right? And I think that's the least amount of stoppages, the better that the team would get. But yeah, in terms of the matchups, I really do enjoy. And I do look forward to seeing how the defensive matchups are going to work. Like, will they have the confidence to have Lane Hudson on the ice at the same time as McKinnon?
Right.
Are they going to challenge him with that? You know, if Arbor plays, are they going to have him go up against, their third line?
Mm.
And is he going to be asked to try to get them off their game? Right. And so this is where it becomes more fun to be able to look at and properly evaluate Martin St. Louis' bench management, because these are the games where the Canadians tend to rise up to the level of their opponents
Yeah.
and play some of their best hockey. I'm hoping that that's the case tonight for the fans as well. Today, sorry, for the fans as well, just because it will be fun to see the Canadians, a confident Canadians team, go up against what I think is the best team in the NHL at this point, and play up to their level. So I think at the end of today, the one thing I would tell fans to look forward to is just the speed of this game is going to be off the charts,
How
and
do you
that's what they have to watch out for.
how do you feel about Saturday afternoon games?
Love it.
You do, huh? Frees up the night. Freeing up a Saturday night is it's a
Yeah.
rare thing for 6 months of the year.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. I love it. I think it's great. And it's the
Yeah.
holidays in the States as well. Like it's
Yeah.
to me, it's
Yeah.
perfect. And then everyone's able to go and enjoy their Saturday night after that. So I think it's great. This is what our fans feel like out west, I assume, when the games are on at 4 p.m.
Exactly.
On the Pacific side. So I get a lot of that. My father-in-law actually in Victoria, so he gets to chill and watch all the games without having to rush home. So
Right.
I envy him. Whenever I'm out west, it's always a fun thing where the games start earlier. Your Sunday football starts at 10 a.m. instead of 1
Oh.
p.m. You're just
Oh.
sitting in a bar having a beer at 10 a.m. and you're just like,
Yeah.
well, it's 1 p.m. somewhere.
I
love
think
it.
I could get used to it. I remember when I was in Italy in the fall, I woke up and the Sunday night game in the National Football League
Yeah.
was still going on. I was like, damn.
Yeah,
Is it
I'll always remember
Yeah.
the Canadians 2014 run in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I remember that was one of the first playoffs I actually covered professionally. I was in
Yeah.
China
Oh my.
during that playoff run. So the game would start at 7, but China's an exact 12 hours ahead. So it's 7 p.m. on a Monday in Montreal, but I was watching it at 12 a.m. 7 a.m. on a Tuesday in China at the same time.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
wake
Yeah.
up Canadians hockey. So I feel you, man. It could be wild.
It's going to be lots of fun. Hope you all enjoy the game today. Enjoy the matchups. You're truly going to see a special team. And I love measuring stick games. I love challenges. I love where, an up-and-coming team like the Montreal Canadiens that I think is very confident now. I thought they were dominant in the 4-1 win at Vegas.
Yep.
The Golden Knights have lost 4 in a row. So I think the Canadians go into this game this afternoon with a head filled with confidence. And the whole mentality of why not us? Why not us? Why can't we be the team that goes there and hands this Colorado team that rarely loses? They're 9-0-2 on home ice. But on the other side of that coin, Montreal 7-2-2 away from the Bell Center. So not only have they won 3 in a
Road
row
Warriors.
for the second time this season, they know how to win on the road, and they've done it repeatedly. So I like that psychological angle to this game today, and we'll see how it unfolds. Should be a lot of fun, Marco. Very much looking forward to this.
I look forward to it. I think it'll probably be a tighter game. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the kind of game that gets pulled into overtime, for example. And what a sight 3-on-3 would be with these two teams. Oh my goodness.
Please.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'll never forget though. This is a fun tidbit. During the Four Nations, remember that the 3-on-3 was for 10 minutes instead of 5?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And in that first game, Canada was playing Sweden, I believe, and Mitch Marner scored the winning goal after 7 minutes. And I always remember, I asked Nathan McKinnon, like, what do you think about 10 minutes of 3-on-3? Is it something they should have in the league? And his response to me was, F no. F no. And I'll quote this, I was so gassed that I no-looked Connor McDavid on a 2-on-1. That's how tired I was. And
right.
Imagine not passing the puck to Connor McDavid on a 2-on-1. Can't relate.
It's fun for us. We're sitting on our behinds watching these guys go all out 3-on-3. I get it. Lots of fun today.
So, I think it'll be fun. I think Colorado is one of my favorite teams to watch in the NHL, like bar none, in terms of just their skill. I think there's something different about them today. I think that they went about doing the right changes to their lineup, making some good trades. Interested to see The goaltending has been a big deal for them as well. I think, you know, you really have to give Mackenzie Blackwood his lift his hat to him. Just been really, really good for them. And, you know, I feel like as well, when you look at the way that they play structurally, obviously they're an older team. They're a team that has that experience, have gone deep into playoffs, or have, you know, gone to war in playoff series as well. So it's been good. But again, you have a goalie like Blackwood that's got a 928 save percentage. Even Scott Wedgwood, who's been playing fantastic for them as well, 920 save percentage. So for a team that last year was not having it with their goaltending depth, and they made a flurry of trades right around this time to go and get Blackwood and Wedgwood. That's a lot of wood. You're able to, you're able to now have structure on your goaltending side. And I think that just breeds confidence to the rest of the lineup. They're a wagon to watch.
Hey, put this in your calendar. Starr and D'Amico live from Maison Publique McLean's coming up on December 23rd.
Against the Bruins.
I was just about to say, who are they playing on December 23rd? How about a Habs Bruins game live with Starr and D'Amico? And my declaration to you is December 23rd, I will be there for the entirety of that hockey game. The rare chance I get to stay out late and watch a whole hockey game. So come join us. And come watch how neurotic I am watching the Montreal Canadiens live and in person. We'll eat some great food, be in a great environment, great TVs. The service is so nice. The service is so, so good. It's fast. It's professional. It's friendly. Love our friends at the Maison Publique McLean's. And as always, I want to introduce, and you see at the bottom of your screen there, our friends at Cabletel, cabletel.com. This is a family-owned business. We love supporting local businesses, family-owned businesses on this channel, Trust me, Marco, we've turned down tens of thousands of dollars from the big corporations, but we are a grassroots organization. I'm kidding, of course.
Betting companies too.
But yeah, Cabletel.com. They've been supplying Quebec and Eastern Ontario for more than 20 years. If you're looking to have your home with an added layer of security, head over to Cabletel.com. The best rates, the best technology, and the best customer service in the home security business. Big shout out to our friends at Cabletel.com.
Absolutely. And I do want to circle back on what you said before. The live show, we will be recording a live show an hour before the game, and then we'll be watching the game at McLean's Pub, Maison Publique, so up the street, the new location, on December 23rd. So if you guys want to show up, we can make reservations for groups. So be sure to write in the comments, just say McLean's, so that we know that we have
an email address
are going to be coming.
Marco,
that is true. Yep, we do have an email address as well. Starr and D'Amico at gmail.com.
Yeah, Starr.
So if you guys would like to come, or if you're going to be a group of people and you want a reservation, let us know. We'll definitely take care of you.
So you can send us that email, or if you have any questions about the show, starranddamico at gmail.com. Sponsorship opportunities. The email inbox is open to y'all for a ton of options, right? And so looking forward to seeing everybody there on December to the 23rd. Just want to give a good heads up about that. So you guys have been great in supporting us and supporting our sponsors. So it brings a lot of confidence as this show continues to grow with each and every single one of you. Yes, here's a question. Marco and I talked about this week in a private conversation. Joey's asking, have you guys ever thought about doing a little live stream after afternoon games? And Marco, we've talked about this a few times, and obviously this weekend you provided an opportunity for us, but we have our lane. We have our lane, right?
Exactly. I think the 10 a.m. slot works for me, and I would also go one step further. Today is my mom's birthday.
Hey,
Mom. So if I were to do a live after this stream, I may get disowned.
That's harsh. Sounds like you're on the fence with your mom. So good.
No, it's just Italian moms, man. You just don't mess around.
Yeah. I like our format. I think we have our lane. I think what we do kind of well and stuff like that. And if I could speak with a little bit of confidence and a little braggy speak, I suppose. But no, it's been a lot of fun. Again, 70 minutes here. It felt like we've been on this live stream for 10 minutes. It's 70 minutes in.
Yes.
So thank you, everybody. Like and subscribe to our channel for daily Habs content. We'll be back coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. after the Canadiens and Colorado Avalanche. So enjoy your hockey this afternoon. Spend some time with your partner. It's a rare Saturday night where you don't have to sit on the couch and say, I got to watch the game today. Go out, go to Marilla's Steakhouse, have a great meal. Marco, thank you, sir.
Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m.
You got it.